Are you ready for the best Kansas City Chiefs insight? Welcome to ChiefsBlitz.com YouTube podcast with your hosts, Nick Athen, Andre Tillman, and producer Hence Todd. They'll break down the three-time Super Bowl champions as only they can do. Here's your host, Nick Athen.
Welcome back to another edition of Chiefs Blitz. I'm your host, Nick Athen, along with Lou Montagna, the other old guy in the room, and then the youngsters, the guys in their prime, Hence Todd and Andre Tillman joining the show today. Gents, welcome.
Let's go.
Let's go, Broncos.
Let's go.
Let's go, Broncos. Let's go. It's a lot of stuff that's happening in the AFC West.
Man, tell me about it.
I got breaking news first.
Okay, come on, Nick.
Nick Bolton will practice today.
Nick.
They got a healthy rotation of linebackers right now. They got a good set of linebackers right now.
Yeah, could have some new men on the defensive line too. We'll see.
Hey, you know.
Man, what a morning if you're a Chiefs fan riding high in the AFC West, where the Broncos, the Chargers, and the Raiders last week dumped three primetime players that were specifically required to do one thing: beat Patrick Mahomes. All three of those guys are gone. In contracts, if my math is correctly, nearly $200 million in contract dollars out the window as of this morning. God, I love the AFC and their AFC West and their dysfunctionality. It makes for a great story.
It does, but I want great competition. You know, I want to see them old school. I want to see the old school Elway. You know, I want to see the Elway Montana. You know, I want to see that.
He's like my age, okay?
Yeah.
You know, I want to see that Dan Marino. I want to see Mahomes. Somebody really push Mahomes in the West.
Well,
you know, hopefully, I'm thinking it's Russell. I want it to be Russell.
Want it to be Russell. The whole Denver community wants it to be Russell. It ain't gonna be Russell. Okay.
Tell me about it, man.
Wow. I don't. It's Herbert. I mean, that's just what it's Herbert. As long as they can stay healthy, that's the one that's going to kind of endure. But right now, the Raiders and the Broncos do not have their answer at quarterback.
And the
Raiders are trash. The Broncos are trash. The Broncos are trash. The Raiders are trash.
What you mean trash?
They trash. They done. Hey, you spend all that money. You spend all that money to beat who? To beat one man, one magical man at that. Hey, I'll put it like this. Again, it's great. We been there as Chiefs fans. You know, we been there. We had the bags over our head. But again, Andy Reid was in Philly. He was in Philly, got fired, and the Chiefs went down there on the plane to get him. Matt did his interview in the airport and got the man. And ever since then, everybody wants to say Patrick Mahomes, but ever since then, Andy Reid came here. Life has changed as a Chiefs fan.
Yeah,
how great morning it has been.
I'm gonna say, Alex, and on top of that, real quick, Alex Smith was actually very, very productive. He was very productive for Kansas City.
It's a good signing. But what's funny about what you said about the airport interview, the Bidwell family airplane, the private jet was sitting on the runway all day long because Andy was supposed to go talk to the Cardinals after he met with the Chiefs. It was a 10.5 to 11-hour meeting, and the plane left without Andy, and that pretty much sealed the deal.
It's a game of inches, Nick. Game of
inches, and a lot of wasted.
Hold on, guys. So y'all mean to tell me that Andy Reid was about to be a Cardinal?
Yeah, it was between the Chiefs and the Cardinals. No, I know this to be fact. It was the Chiefs. And on top of that,
and then Patrick Mahomes almost was a Cardinal too.
And Mahomes was almost a Saint, a Cardinal.
He sure was almost.
True. It could have gone any direction, but it's crazy how the ball bounces. But the Bidwell family put a pretty good package together in advance, but Clark Hunt made up his mind. He made it clear he was going to hire the next head coach. The last one with Todd Haley didn't quite work out. The Scott Pioli era ended, shortly thereafter he hired Andy. And, the fortunes of the franchise changed. And this is all good stuff because this is what Andy Reid and John Dorsey, who I wasn't a big fan of, and Clark Hunt, who I'm a huge fan of, decided to do. We're going to build a team that can't be beat. What is Denver doing? They're trying to build a team to beat Kansas City. What are the Chargers doing? They're trying to build a team to beat Kansas City. What are the Raiders doing? They're trying to build a team to beat Kansas City instead of building a team that Kansas City has to beat. And that's why they're going to fail. That's why they're going to continue to fail. And today's news goes right on top of that because they don't know what they're doing.
So what you got to say about this C.J. Jackson? Going back to the Patriots, was it a bar? Was it a rental? You know, he went over there. He said, "You see how I fill it out." And Belichick brought him back. So what you got to say about that, Nick? You know what I mean?
Short-term.
You chose Nick. What you chose? You chose to.
I mean, listen. Here's the problem with the Chargers. I mean, you know, C.J. Jackson goes back. He gets $82.5 million. I knew the C.J. Jackson signing was going to be a bust when Justin Watson opening day last year caught that touchdown pass right over him, and he was out of position. I thought, man, if Justin Watson is beating you, and no disrespect to Justin, but if Watson is beating you, you can't be very good. And he just never lived up to expectations. So what happened? The Chargers are eating almost his entire salary, swapped draft picks in 2 drafts from now, and have completely given up on him. And, you know, he hasn't performed well. He was great in New England under Bill Belichick. He didn't want to stay because they didn't want to pay him. Now they're desperate because they lost their number 1 pick, their cornerback, to injury for the season. And so they make the move today. But the Chargers don't gain anything by this. They just look foolish.
No.
You know, you look at this team. I mean, listen, Khalil Mack was out of his mind last weekend, you know, against a very depleted Raiders offensive line and almost got Derek Thomas's record of 7 sacks in the game. He ended up with 6. Justin Herbert has a broken finger on his non-throwing ham. Kudos to him for gutting it out. But, man, I watched Steve DeBerg do that in Kansas City when he had that weird cast on his other arm or other hand. And that's not an easy thing to overcome. But the bottom line is they have a head coach who's going to be probably fired here in the next 4 to 5 weeks. They have they have a bunch of defensive players who are really good, who don't live up to expectations. And honestly, Justin Herbert's a good quarterback. He's not a great quarterback. He's not a guy that's going to win a playoff game or win many. And he's not going to the Super Bowl. And he's not dethroning Patrick Mahomes. He may beat him once a year, but that's the extent of it. The Chargers, with all that talent, I mean, they have the most talent in the division next to Kansas City, and they can't get out of their own way. And today they just threw up their hands and said, hey, you know, we're done with J.C. Jackson. Adios, stupid. And they still haven't done anything to build a team that the Chiefs can't beat.
Well, again, a lot of money to eat. You just got like certain players that just do well in a system. You got like guys that like sometimes will leave the Steelers as linebackers and not perform somewhere else. Ravens with their rush ends, you know, so Judon's done okay for New England, but so I guess the jury's still out on J.C. Jackson. I think there was a lot more at play there because he's a healthy scratch a few times. So maybe personalities were clashing. They were using him in a little bit different way. But you would think if you're going to write that big of a check beforehand, you'd kind of figure out, is he a fit for our system? Are we just collecting talent or are we building a team? So I think that goes to your point, Nick, with the other teams in the AFC West, where it seems like they're just collecting talent instead of building teams. And now they're eating all this money, and the stories write themselves. They must have known we were talking about the West today, and they're like, hold my beer, let's go. Denver, who's got the Gregory thing?
And they're going to be in massive cap hell next year. They have got guys making a ton of money, and they're going to have to clean house.
Well, I think Russell's big extension starts next year. What he's being paid the last couple of years has been
the Broncos are
Seattle.
Broncos are a different story. They're just as dysfunctional.
Yeah.
So speaking of the Broncos, Trey, what you got today on the Broncos? What happened to them today, man? It's just like they're having the crazy in the West.
Well, I feel like Gregory didn't live up to expectation for them, right? Mm-hmm. As you can see, their defense is ranked 32nd in the league. Low rank, you know, they give up almost. Y'all seen that score in Miami? Y'all seen that score? It just trumped everything this year, you know. But I mean, that was a smack in the face, right? But you know, looking at the stats, man, they 25th in sacks. 25th in sacks. Right. So that tells you by itself he's not getting it done. They don't have multiple sack guys out here, but they got some good tacklers though. They secondary is solid. Don't get me wrong. They have some good tacklers in that secondary. But as far as like on the linebacker situation, there's nobody that can really get pressure on the quarterback. There's nobody that can get it done. So you know you got to find some other way. You got to make a move. Sometimes you got to make that move. So for me, it's not shocking because if he was a very productive guy, then I'd be like, then I would question like, why are they releasing Gregory? Right. So it's not shocking to me. I see Denver Broncos trying to clean house, trying to start over fresh, start young. I don't see why not. You know, it might be a hit for them, but at the same time, you have to make that move because 25th in sacks, like 25th in sacks, you gave up. Y'all ranked 32nd in points allowed. Nah, some got to change. So that right there was the move. Was the first move.
It was kind of shocking when he got that money originally that they did that because of all the issues that he had in Dallas, the issues that he had at Nebraska, the issues he had between leaving Nebraska and the combine, and just it was always kind of a nightmare. So I hope, I mean, if there is a mental issue happening here, I hope he gets the help that he needs. Okay. But the point is, again, going back to my previous point, is you would think you're doing your due diligence before you sign this big check and say, okay, we're putting our eggs in this basket because we're confident that we've got the mental stuff out of the way, that he's going to be a good soldier, he's going to do what he needs to do. But again, collecting talent, collecting names of guys that you think are going to be great players, but here we are again, and we're going to eat a lot of money, and boy, do we look silly. So.
And on top of that, guys, real quick, even if they play Kansas City, honestly, you're going to have a field day with them. You know, I don't know about passing the ball because, again, I don't trust the Kansas City receivers right now. I think they're decent, but their secondary is still great. They got some guys on here that can like. It got my guy here looking at the stats, but Pat Surtain got about 10 solo tackles by himself. You know, the safety guy, Tranquil.
Justin Simmons.
Justin Simmons good too. Yeah, but it's another safety out here, man. Is like it's solid too. I believe he got 20-something solo tackles by himself. I don't know if I said his name wrong. His name Turquil.
I think that speaks a lot more to their bad run defense.
Absolutely, because his name is
But they are great corners. So Surtain's got to be one of the top 5 or 10 in the league.
Absolutely. And like the guy got 17 solo tackles, right? 17 solo tackles by himself. So like the secondary is solid. You got some guys out here that's making some great plays. Like the other cornerback on the other side, on Patrick Surtain, he got 20 solo tackles by himself.
It doesn't matter.
They can make open tackles. Guys, come on now. I'm trying to get some love for the Broncos here, okay?
They're not that solid.
Oh, God.
They're not that solid.
I'm trying to show an ounce of love.
If your corners are making a lot of tackles, that's not good.
It's not good.
It's not good because that means they're stopping nothing up front. They're stopping nothing up front. So I get it.
I got you.
Let me interject something real quick. I think the issue in Denver is George Patton, the GM, is going to lose all his power to Sean Payton because Patton's the one who put this whole thing together, and it's been a mess. And you mentioned Patrick Surtain. What if he wants to be? What if he's going to ask for a trade? You're going to start seeing a lot of these Broncos players. If this move is the precursor to Sean Payton convincing ownership, let's do this my way. You're paying me $18 million a year to be a head coach. George Patton's not the guy. I need to start making the decisions on all personnel. And, he's going to become Patton's going to become the bean counter for the salary cap. Right. And that's what's happening here. Don't be surprised before the trade deadline if the Broncos don't win another game that you hear Russell Wilson's name in the trade market. And I think the Broncos are that desperate right now. I think they're going to clean house.
I'm sure they are. Is there another team out there that's that desperate to
Yes.
take on that huge contract
Yes.
and say
There-
that he's
there
going to
will
be
be.
worth it.
guys,
There will be.
I don't
well,
know,
guys,
Nick. I'm
before y'all
looking.
go in real
I'm looking
quick,
at
guys,
this.
before y'all
I'm
go
looking at this
in.
draft coming up, and there's a bunch of young guys, dynamic, mobile quarterbacks
It
that I think
is.
are going to get pushed up. There's going to be five
It
or
is.
six guys that you're going to hear their names come draft time that they're going to say we can get them for a rookie deal. Why in the hell would we want to pay $250 million for a guy that seems to be washed or might not fit what we do?
Broncos will eat a lot of that money,
Listen,
so it's not going to matter.
Their
They're gonna
offense
have
is
to.
10th. The offense is ranked 10th in the league now. I'm not going to say that they're horrible because they're ranked 10th. They're ranked 10th on offense now. Okay, they're 13th in yards on offense now.
Okay, they
played
the Raiders.
They
played the Raiders, the Bears.
We're not going to go detail,
Redskins
Nick. We're not going to throw
Commanders
salt on them like that.
and
Nick,
the
come on,
Dolphins.
show the man
Yes,
some
we
love,
are.
Nick.
No.
Also,
Hold on. Let's go ahead.
hold on. Also, if yes, they're gonna be ranked 10th in offense. If you gotta play catch up, if your defense is giving so much yardage up, you're giving up so much plays, so much big plays, you're gonna have to play catch up. And a lot of those yards they getting is garbage times yardage. So that's why they rank 10th. You got to play. You got to play catch up.
Okay,
but like Dre said about the defense, the cornerbacks and they cornerbacks. But when you got smoked by the Miami Dolphins, man, it was done. You can't tell me you're a great secondary. You got cooked.
I mean,
you got cooked. You got burnt up in the end. And speaking of getting cooked, we have the Raiders owner getting cooked in the stands by the fans. What you got to say about that, Lou?
First off, can we get this guy a real haircut? I mean, I hate to go personal right off the bat, but I don't know. I mean, I like that he's channeling his dad a little bit with the all white and so forth.
Nah, his dad was all black, man. His dad wore that leather.
He would wear those white outfits too. Come on, Nick. Come on. I got receipts here. We'll get pictures next time.
That's
but
right.
The fact that okay, he's got to stand by his head coach. I get that. But you've got star players that are coming out in the media challenging what's happening behind the scenes. Davante Adams and the two guys that have spoken out probably aren't long for the Raiders, right? I mean, Josh Jacobs, they went through that the whole summer, and it was like pulling and tugging, and he wants to be there. And then finally they give him kind of like a Saquon deal. 1 year, whatever, he's gone. Davante Adams basically said, I can't wait around for all this developing to happen.
That's his fault.
I came here, and I'm sure it is.
It's his fault for taking the money.
He wanted Derek Carr, though. Derek Carr left.
He signed the contract, and it just seems like, again, just the whole organization. I mean, you can almost, it was so apropos. It was like a microcosm at the end of that game on Sunday when first the Chargers tried to charger and put, you talked about his hurt finger, Justin Herbert. Let's put him under center and run a sneak on 4th and 1 from our own 24. Okay. So they get stopped. So wow. Great play by the Raiders. All right. So they drive it down. The rookie quarterback, I mean, he's got it rolling. Interception. Okay. Hopefully the game's over because you don't know what the hell Staley's going to do with it. But the game was over at that point. So it's like, okay, it was just such a Charger Raiders game, and then everything that happens in the aftermath, players speaking out. So those guys are going to want out. You talk about guys that want out. So this division just seems like rinse and repeat. You've got, again, the model organization that has built a team, built a foundation, got their generational quarterback, and now everybody's chasing them and just making fools of themselves, trying to figure it out, going for the quick fixes, and it just ain't happening. It ain't happening. Speaking of, and how about Josh I think Josh McDaniels has a type. Now, you guys probably all have that one friend that seems to go through girlfriends, every few years, and it seems like it's the same girl every time. So Josh is trying to recreate Tom Brady in some way. Let's get rid of Derek Carr. We bring in Jimmy Garoppolo, the guy they draft from Purdue, every other team's looking for these dynamic playmakers that can do off schedule things. He wants that statue quarterback that's going to hang in the pocket and throw on time, and we're going to dink and dunk our way down the field. And it's just, I hate to say it. I mean, because the Chiefs are so good, but the rest of the division is just so laughable.
So he want an old school quarterback.
Dumpster fire.
That's all he knows.
He wants an old school pocket present quarterback. He want traditional, right? Is that what you're saying, Lou?
Yeah,
pretty much.
Traditional.
Okay. He tried to make Tim Tebow a pocket passer, and Tim Tebow didn't have the arm for it when he was the head coach in Denver. And he looked at Tom. He's had Tom Brady virtually his entire coaching career, and he doesn't know how to adapt. It was a terrible hire. It's going to blow up in their faces. Devontae Adams is going to request a trade at some point, and with that salary, that's going to be very difficult. But these guys, all these guys that we're talking about, we didn't even got to Chandler Jones yet. All these guys we're talking about took the money,
right?
And they knew what they were getting themselves into, and they didn't care. And then they start whining and complaining and bitching about it. Well, and it's just like, you know what, guys, you didn't have to go there to take the money, but they got good agents and they worked the system.
On Devontae's behalf, I would say he probably never envisioned them cutting Derek Carr.
Derek Carr, yes.
I don't, that's his guy. What do you want to say? They played together at Fresno State, but
the guy's been on thin ice for years.
I guess but I think that's primarily one, the uncertainty of Aaron Rodgers in Green Bay, and then the fact that he could go back closer to home and play with his buddy and his college quarterback. And then all of a sudden he gets cut, or he's just kind of like shooed away from the team at the end of the year, which was another inexplicable thing. Yeah. And then, like you said, Nick, Chandler Jones, and that whole situation just seems like, what the hell?
You know what happened? You know what happened? What really happened is everybody spent that money. The Chargers, the Broncos, the Raiders. They got Vontae Adams, and Derek Carr said, "Yeah, whoa, man, I got a new toy. I got a new Woody doll. I got a new Buzz Lightyear. We're gonna beat the Magic Man." Then he realized that he couldn't beat him, so he said, "You know what? Send me out of this division. Send me somewhere far away from it, because I ain't gonna get to no Super Bowl dealing with this man." Now,
I don't have a white flag.
Speaking of the numbers, Nick, what did everybody spend so far that get with these players being cut today to beat this one man, Patrick Mahomes?
Well, I mean, I think it's $82.5 million is what they paid Jackson. I think it was $70 million. I can't read without my glasses, so I'm pretty much handicapped here. 70 and 50. I mean, that's I'm bad at math, but that's close to $200 million. Now, not all of that was guaranteed, but quite a bit of it. And the problem this creates, is that it does create salary cap issues. They're going to have to carry signing bonus money over into the, they'll have some dead cap money, and with the Chargers, this is huge. And for them to make this decision, they are throwing in the towel next year. They're going to have to gut that team. They're going to have to let go a lot of their stars because they paid Herbert that ridiculous contract. And this is just the beginning of the end for them. Whatever they get out of this season, they're going to have a new head coach, probably a new general manager. Hopefully it's not somebody halfway decent. It's not going to matter because you can't beat number 15. The only teams that have beaten number 15 are his teammates.
Smoking
the Chiefs
Joe
guys. It's just when the Chiefs, again, they built their team, and with these teams spending all this money. And then you look at Brett Veach and how he has spent his money, how wisely he spent his money, how he looks at the salary cap 2, 3, 4 years down the road. That's what you have to do. But he's not desperate. His desperation is, I want another title. Okay, we made a mistake after the Tampa Bay Super Bowl. We kept this team. We kept a lot of players for the right reasons, but we did the wrong thing. And look what happened. So they're not making that mistake. The Chiefs are going to constantly reload. They're going to constantly reinvent themselves because they have something all these other teams don't have besides ownership that has a whole lot of billions in the bank. Andy Reid. They've got a head coach. Right. And that is key. When you have the right head coach and you have the right quarterback, you can overcome anything bad on your football team. A sluggish offense, a sluggish defense. When you got a guy who can make a ridiculous amount of plays when his arm is betraying him for 3 quarters, run all over up and down the field in New York, stomp on the Jets logo in the middle of the field, and say, "Here I am. I just beat you this way." There's no team in the AFC West that can match that. But to spend all that money, it's pointless. That's why I think free agency it's great for fans. We love it for business. It's a lot of clicks and it's a lot of things to talk about. But generally speaking, most of the big name contracts don't pan out. And now teams are giving up way too early. And this is going to cost them. And the Chiefs are going to be going, hey, we're probably going to have $45-50 million in cap space next year, even if we sign Chris Jones.
Right.
Well, I'm gonna say this again. I think Mahomes is one of the greatest ever in his generation. Right? But I gotta see competition in the West though. I think Russell Wilson might be that guy. I think Russell might be that guy. We will see when that time comes, and we're gonna see the production of Russell Wilson. Because it's coming.
How long we gotta wait?
He's certainly playing better than he did last year.
He will beat the Chiefs
for 300 plus yards.
He will beat the Chiefs one of the 2 upcoming games.
There he is.
I think he will. But I said that before. I said that before the season started.
Yeah.
So I just don't. I think with the games being now when you're playing the same team 2 times in
twice
3
in
weeks,
3 weeks, yeah,
right. Because it builds like, okay, I'm familiar with this team, and guys, let's be clear. The Chiefs offense is not what it used to be right now. They still trying to figure some stuff out.
That doesn't matter, guys. That doesn't matter.
It's not going to make him win the West.
When you got a man in Patrick Mahomes, you got a man. They're going to figure it out. They're going to figure it out.
15 in a row against Denver? It's like 15 in a row, isn't it?
So.
Yeah, I think it is.
Right. It's some ridiculous number. Yeah.
It's something.
So
Mahomes
I mean, Russ is playing better. But I don't think he's ever
a whole lot better.
But he's seen his best days. I mean, obviously, he's well into his 30, whatever. He might play there a few more years again if they just want to, because they're paying him all this money, hold on to him. But I don't, unless they start winning, regardless of if he's playing better. If they're not winning, Peyton's just going to, okay, we're gonna clean house. He'll go with Jarrett Stidham. You know, I think he should.
I think he should do that anyway.
So that remains to be seen. So as far as the division is concerned, one question I wanted to ask you guys, if Patrick had like the injury that Burrow has right now, and, you know, the mobility wasn't there. And again, that's a big if. I know you guys are going to, throw last year's playoff run out. I get that.
I'm not.
He's Texas tough. He'll play through anything, but this is the regular season. You just extended your guy $275 million or whatever. It's clear he cannot move and he cannot push off. He can't really make throws down the field. Do you keep him out there? I mean, I get it. You're 1-3. You got to, I mean, we're going to be out of this race soon. What do you do? I mean, that's I've been like battling with that.
What do you do, Ty?
That leads right into my segment, what I was talking about. Joe Burrow.
This is what I'm doing. This is what I do. Hence, this is it. This is teamwork. Okay.
That's what I like to say, man. Joe Burrow. If there was Patrick Mahomes, everybody would say, "Oh man, Patrick Mahomes not great. Patrick Mahomes took the money. He don't want to play anymore." But again, they all souped up Orlando Brown. They wanted Orlando Brown, and this is what you get. You get a man that's pulling his hair out, can't even get the pass off on the field. He can't do nothing with his arm. It just looked bad out there, guys. It just looked real bad. I'm trying to tell you guys that Joe Burrow, he got the money. The T. Higgins and them was wide open. He's missing throws. He's doing all this nonsense and still can't beat the Browns. He's losing it. They lose it. They're going backwards, man. It's just they going backwards. And I don't see anything different from this team. I really don't. I don't see nothing different from this team. I don't see nothing. I don't see no championship play. You get beat by a Tannehill, man. You get beat by the Tannehill to the goddamn Titans. I just don't see it. You know what I mean? What you think, Coach Dre? I know this is your guy.
I think I'm coming with it.
What you like to say, sir?
If you look at remember, Joe Burrow is a pocket quarterback, so he needs his offensive line. Now we just stated Orlando Brown was a wash, and he's even worse with the Bengals. So if your blind spot is not safe, yes, you're gonna get hit. So now you think to yourself, I'm panicking right now because I don't have time in the pocket to deliver the throws. You know what I'm saying? So he's kind of shooken up with that too. He's shooken up the fact that he can't stand in the pocket properly to make those throws. Now I get it, everybody's just frustrated, but I will not bash Joe Burrow just yet because the season is still early and they still 1-3. We've seen guys come back from this situation, but at the same time, he's not playing his best ball right now. He's not playing his best ball right now. So, it's still early, but we got a couple more games in. Getting to about week 7, then I'm like, okay, something's going on with the Bengals. Something's going on with them right now because it doesn't make sense.
He's got 2 more games before the bye week, and if I'm the Bengals, I would rest him. He's playing against the Cardinals. I wouldn't look past the Cardinals one bit. Look what they did to the Cowboys, and the Cowboys are a better team than the Bengals.
Right. That's what they're doing. They're looking back. They're going to try to look past the Cardinals.
And that's exactly what they're doing.
Yeah, they are, because the thing is, when you play with grit and you play that type of heart, that mentality, they're not going to give up. Like, this team is not going to give up. But this is a test for Joe Burrow. Okay, this is your test to bounce back. What you gonna do with Arizona? Gonna make a statement?
Yeah, but he's clearly
to make a statement.
That's not Joe Burrow out there. I mean, it's clear. He didn't all of a sudden get bad at football. Okay,
right. That's what I'm saying.
Whether it's the money, whatever, you can say whatever you want about some of the outside stuff. It's the offensive line and the injury.
Yes, it is.
That's what it is.
It's also coaching. I mean, there's an element to this too that, again, you have to look at. And
we're not doing this.
No.
If this was basketball, the Bengals fans will be trashing us. So
the coaching,
you Bengals fans, come here. I'm getting close to this camera. I'm trying to use the Burrow is done.
The coaching issue for me is the fact that they signed Orlando Brown Jr. when they had a perfectly solid left tackle, who was probably their best offensive lineman, who gets shoved aside for a guy that the Chiefs are going, he signed somewhere else. They don't have that. They don't have that situation over their heads. They're very thankful he turned down that contract a couple years ago. And that's the problem. But they wanted a big splash. He thought he was the guy. I mean, listen.
Well, it seems like everybody else seems to think he's the guy too.
But no, they didn't, because the Bengals were really the only team that was out there willing to offer him a contract.
He's got a good agent. He has a great agent.
He was good, and they believed the PR and the hype, and they thought, well, they could deal with the fact he's not very athletic. And now Burrow is injured. He's got a calf. I think there's something wrong with the other leg, because the ankle might be an issue that they haven't disclosed. The arm got hurt the other day. You got T. Higgins, who's going to be an unrestricted free agent and a future member of the Kansas City Chiefs, who's going to be out for at least 4 to 5 to 6 weeks.
All right, Nick, hold on.
And you got Chase out there with his mouth, and it's just Nick, it's not a good look.
We're not going to ask you to out your source, but I don't know. Veach is not paying wide receivers big money. What makes you think that T. Higgins is the guy that he says, okay, here's our $25 or $30 million wide receiver?
He will pay T. Higgins.
Ooh, okay. He's young and he's a thriller. Right.
They would have paid Williams. They would have paid Williams the contract that the Chargers gave him if he'd have hit the open market. Williams would have been a Chief.
So are we talking about? So is Justin Ross done then?
No, Justin Ross is going to be just fine. He's just giving.
He'll be back playing with his Clemson boy from the national.
Oh, if that happens, T Higgins,
he'll be just fine.
Bye, Scott Moore. Hello, goodbye, Kadarius Toney. We back in
Justin, T and Justin.
The Chiefs wide receivers are going to be just fine. They're going to have 3 or 4 games before the Dolphins game, and they're going to show their face in Germany, and they're going to blow up the Dolphins, go into the bye week, and they're going to work on some other things. They're going to be just fine. I'm not worried about that at all.
You saying the Chiefs is going to just brush off the Miami Dolphins? Is that what I'm hearing from you, Nick?
You think the Chiefs is going? Did you watch that game Sunday? Come on.
I mean, that's the Buffalo Bills at their best, though.
I don't give a
that's the Buffalo at their best, right?
They have no defense.
I mean,
that's early in the season, Josh Allen. You know,
that's right. It's October. It's October, Josh Allen.
The thing is, that's why he's so up and down. Like, who trusts Josh Allen? He's so up and down.
No, I like Josh Allen. No, I like the guy.
He plays 2 or 3 bad games
to
a year, and that's it. It's not so much up and down. It's mostly up. It's
Von Miller's coming
Is it
back.
mostly up, guys, or we just give him too much credit? I mean, he didn't beat Joe Burrow.
Well, no one was beating the Bengals that day. They were on. You know, they had dealt with the elements. You know, they dealt with the conditions.
I think the Bills had a lot going on.
Yeah, a lot
off the field, and everything that happened to them during the course of the season. And I just think they were mentally exhausted. And Cincinnati caught them at the right time. And again, Burrow is still that guy. I mean, you can't convince me he isn't. There's just right now, he is not getting protection and he's hurt.
Thank you, Joe. And remember, guys, let's cut it. You know, I'm with the Kingdom, right? But Joe Burrow beat Patrick Mahomes in the AFC Championship.
Why?
Let's not forget it.
Okay, why did he beat them?
We must not go into detail, Nick.
Why did they beat them?
You know why he got beat, Nick? Because
he was forcing the ball to 10.
Tyreek Hill was
forcing
thirsty.
the ball to 10.
He was thirsty. He wanted attention.
And Eric Bieniemy called a sweep, a pass on the goal line with 5 seconds to go instead of giving it to McKinnon. That would have been 7 points. That game was over. The Chiefs are in the AFC, in the Super Bowl, and they dismantled the Rams.
Well, regardless of what he
beat themselves that day.
15 kind of lost it there. That was just a bad play.
Okay, guys, can we just give Joe Burrow his credit?
Let's go.
He does deserve credit. All
these excuses for the Chiefs. Did Joe Burrow outplay Mahomes?
Before the season started, he's the second best quarterback in football. No question.
I appreciate it.
Okay, he's not right now. He's probably in the 14, 15 range because of the injuries.
Wow.
And unless the organization decides to have a bad season, get some high picks, you know, they can't keep playing him. They just can't, but they're going to do it.
He got the bag. He got the bag.
Here he go. He got the bag.
It was too heavy. It was too heavy for it. It was too heavy for his legs. Now he's injured. Now he's throwing wild passes. He's doing this. He's doing that. He knows what's up. Joe Burrow know he got the money. If Patrick Mahomes got all that money, they will be on Patrick Mahomes' head.
He got his money too.
He got the money too.
I know. I'm saying if he was in, they'll be on Patrick. They'll be on his head. They'll be like,
these interceptions.
But again,
8-4 into these interceptions. Speaking of Patrick Mahomes,
Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs, let's get right into it. What do you have for us today, Lou, on Chiefs Who?
We are right back with Chief Who. Nick gets to play this week, so this is gonna get interesting. Now, again, there's a couple of different ways you can do this. I can read each clue. You can guess whenever you like, or do you want to hear them all and then everybody gets one guess?
One clue at a time.
All right.
One clue, and then also let everybody in the comments, if you know who it is,
go ahead, fire away, play along.
Hey, there's no wrong answer, guys. Come here. I've been Chiefs fan since '93.
And gambling is encouraged. So if you want to bet on it, go on. This is all this is all good. All right. So first clue. This chief grew up in Western Pennsylvania. Near and dear to my heart. So I got to throw that one in first. Okay. He shares his first and last name with a movie actor.
Oh, I got it.
Go.
Marcus Allen.
Okay, this is the current chief, Andre.
Okay.
Stop
Okay.
hitting the Google.
I went old school. I went back now.
Stop hitting the Google machine. All right. So he made a significant position change from high school to college. He was a quarterback DB in high school, and he currently plays the position he took when he went to college.
Would that be Isaiah Pacheco?
Incorrect, Nick.
My turn.
Go ahead.
Again.
What's that?
Repeat the question again.
He made a significant position change between high school and college. He was a high school quarterback and DB, went to college, played the position he currently plays with the Chiefs.
Jerry McKinnon.
Well, somebody already guessed that, but thanks for playing. All right.
Hey, let me see. It's up to me now.
No, it's not up to anybody. Listen, man. Come on.
Keep
There's
going.
more
It's
to
all
it.
right, Lou. It's all right, Lou. I get it, Lou. It's up to me, Lou. I got you.
All right, go. Do you have some? Do you have a guess?
Current, right? Current
Yes,
player, right?
current chief. Yes.
Watson.
Pardon?
Watson.
No. He is still trying to catch on as a starter in Kansas City.
Would he be a cornerback?
Jump in. He is not.
Oh, I
Justin
was going to
Ross.
give you some Joshua Williams love.
All right, Nick. Go ahead, Lou. Let us know what it is.
Okay, I'm running out of clues here. He saved his biggest plays in the biggest games last season.
Ross.
Oh, MVS.
Incorrect.
Dang, Kadarius Tony.
All right. He wears number 24.
Sky Moore.
All right.
Nice.
Way to go,
you
guys.
had us good. Yeah, you
Way to go.
You got us good on that one, man.
Dang.
I would not have guessed that.
There's an actress named Sky Moore. Who knew?
Who was that?
Yeah, if you'd have said he had like 75% of the snaps and only had two or
There you go, Nick.
Come on,
Watson.
Mr. Negative. Come on, Nick.
Dang, I knew Watson.
This was
though.
a
I could
positive,
hear
uplifting part of the show.
Nah,
We try to
he'll be
end
fine.
on a high note.
He'll be fine too.
And number 24, you guys all had it. That was good.
Yeah, good. Well, there we go.
we did same time.
So we want to thank you guys. There was Chiefs Who with Lou. If you're feeling that you know somebody who it is, leave it in the comments. Chat it in.
Hey,
Leave it
real
in.
quick, I want to give a shout out to Kareem. I want to give a shout out to Kareem real quick, man. Kareem being part of the show.
Maybe we'll give a prize out at the end. So go ahead. Drake.
Absolutely. I want to give my bad, Bo. I'm gonna give a shout out to Kareem, man. My guy over here, man. He's been part of the show. He's been leaving some comments. You know, hey, shout out to Kareem, man. You know, he filmed me on Williams though. He's trying to lie right now, but he filmed me on Williams. As y'all can see, guys, I took a break off Williams. I did. I made one tackle against the Jets, and I was cool with that. All right. Effort goes a long way, guys. Effort goes a long way.
Yeah.
All right.
Well,
So I'm gonna leave your boy alone for right now.
Sounds good. Hey, appreciate all you guys' effort. This is it takes a lot of our time. We love doing it. We appreciate all the people at Chiefs Blitz. Make sure they go to our YouTube channel and subscribe. Check out the website, chiefsblitz.com. And if anybody has any suggestions about topics or articles they want written or anything like that, just email us, let us know, put it in the chat. You know, we want to make this as interactive as possible because we're here because of the fans, and we're all Chiefs fans at the end of the day. Even Andre's a Chiefs fan, even though he's he bleeds that Cardinal red, which I'm totally fine with. So again, thank you everybody. www.chiefsblitz.com. We will see you Friday. We will preview the Chiefs and the Minnesota Vikings. Will this be Kirk Cousins' last game in Minnesota? We'll find out.
Who knows?
All right, guys. See you this Friday.